Behind the opulent latticed windows of the Topkapi Palace, where sunlight filtered through gilded grills, a question lingers. What became of the women who once held sway over the most powerful court of the Islamic world? When their beauty or political usefulness faded, the Ottoman imperial harem, known as the Harem-i-Humayun, was far more than a place of luxury and seduction. It was a political institution of immense consequence, where royal consorts, concubines and mothers of sultans maneuvered in silence and shadows. Yet behind the veil of power lay another, darker reality: lifelong imprisonment. Women who once bore heirs or rivaled others for the sultan's favor could find themselves confined to the golden cage, a section of the harem where they were cut off from the outside world. No crime was necessary. Merely being the mother, sister, or consort of a prince who posed a future threat to the reigning sultan could condemn a woman to decades of isolation. The mother of Sultan Mustafa, for instance, spent years in confinement after her son was deposed. Her quarters were sealed, her movements monitored, and her voice silenced. She lived not in exile, but in gilded captivity. These women were not physically tortured in the modern sense, but endured a far more enduring torment: psychological erasure. Days became indistinguishable. Letters were censored. Windows faced walls. Servants reported their every word. They were dressed in finery they would never wear beyond their quarters. Some, such as the once powerful consorts of Murad IV, were said to have lived out their days without ever again seeing the sunlight fall on the Bosphorus. Their names rarely appear in records, but their silence echoes through the stones of the palace still. The eunuch's whip enforcing royal discipline. Who truly held power in the palace of the world's most feared empire? Not always the Sultan himself, but the shadowed figure who held the whip, the chief black eunuch. Known as the Kızlar Asa, the chief black eunuch was not merely a guardian of the Ottoman imperial harem. He was its undisputed master of discipline, protocol and secrecy. Imported from East Africa through the brutal networks of the Trans-Saharan and Red Sea slave trades, these men were castrated in youth and raised to serve the court, detached from family, desire and dynasty. They were considered ideal instruments of imperial control. At the height of their authority in the 17th century, the chief black eunuch wielded greater influence than many viziers. He oversaw the education of imperial